Yeah, y'all. I don't think that's him. What's up, guys? Pencil here, and here we are to do a quick breakdown and review for Chapter 260 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as The Decisive Battle in the Uninhabited Demon Defense Shinjuku, Part 32. And ladies and gentlemen, you know we got a hefty chunk to talk about, and oh, precious, so little time. So, let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do have pencil. Have it on me, and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact. Yeah. Do I talk about this first? Nah, we'll save that. We'll save that. First things first. Man, you want to talk about cooking with gas. Actually, no. The biggest thing. The juiciest thing. The heftiest thing that has me itching, twitching, shaking. Oh, sweet mother of mercy. Ladies and gentlemen, what was once theory has now become fact. Where is it? Where is it? Don't you hide from me. Don't you hide from me. Yes, right here. It's come to me after all this time. I knew it. I knew my go-delicious, juicy, big-brain boy wasn't a fraud. I knew he was set up. By imposing a binding vow onto himself, limiting the amount of swaps in proportion to the oscillations of the Viper Slap, his ability to have multiple targets along with his effective range was expanded. After fine-tuning his technique with Okotsu's help at the Lake Gosho colony, Todo proceeded to successfully retrieve his allies, who are trapped in a malevolent shrine. So, this right here, there's two giga, juicy, gargantuan things. Number one, this is the narrator saying this. Meaning everyone else that's not named Choso lived. Sugata's Malevolent Shrine got one guy. Hallelujah. That means my girl Maki is alive. Now, of course, the question being raised, I've seen this all around the community. How to? She ain't got no cursed energy. She's an object. That sounds so bad out of context. But in this case, she's literally an object. Remember that. And she was an object holding on to Miwa at the time. And remember, Boogie Woogie can swap objects. It swaps clothes, it swaps swords, it swaps everything that you're holding. So it's very likely that Miwa just was technically holding Maki as an item. And she just got swapped with that too. If she was holding on to Miwa at the time. And I don't know why she wouldn't. When we see Miwa and Maki in that one panel, Maki's literally gripped on like this. Like, please, Mother of Mercy, don't let me go. That thing's gonna tear me apart. So I think this just hard confirms Maki lived off that. If you don't like that, remember, Maki's also holding Soul Split. You know, a cursed object that she's also attached to, and she's also an object. So think of Soul Split and Maki as kind of just one being, and Todo swapped Soul Split, which by proxy swapped Maki. One way or another, Maki's still alive, which is oh good. The other major thing this does, now that we have confirmation, Todo did it. Todo did it. I thought it was weird. I thought it was drawn weird. I thought the whole implications of it were weird. I thought the scaling, I thought everything about that was weird. But no, Yuta Okotsu did not speed blitz Kenjaku. Yuta Okotsu, and by proxy Yuki Tsukumo, is not a base Yuta victim. They're a domain Yuta victim. But they're not base Yuta victims. Todo did it. Remember, Lake Gosho Colony is very specifically where Todo, Yuta, Kenjaku, and Takaba were. That was the final colony they were in a couple chapters back. So when Yuta randomly seems to swap places with Kenjaku and then seems to walk from the opposite direction, that wasn't an art error. That was Todo having swapped Yuta using his new Viper Slap. So, big stuff. Big stuff. Big stuff. Obviously, it doesn't change the fact that Kenny's cooked. Presumably. Unless. Unless I'm huffing straight copium. Yeah, Kenny himself is still absolutely, totally cooked, but the scaling isn't. That's the main thing. Now, we can open up the door to certain things. Obviously, these things are still debatable, like how Kenny's open barrier domain would interact with Yuta's. Once again, that's a whole different thing. I just want to mention it because it's like the craziest thing that happens this chapter, at least for me. As a Kenny Coper, as a Kenny consumer, a Kenny creamer, oh, I'm so happy. But, speaking of things that I'm so happy about, Todo, infinitely more broken than he was before. If y'all remember, strange reference, it's either Fighters, Dragon Ball, or Kingdom Hearts. Somehow they're always going to be brought up in one way, shape, or form. Y'all remember in movie 8 or 9, Metal Cooler's Revenge, or Return of Cooler. Not Return of Cooler, that's the first one, I think. Whatever, the Metal Cooler movie. Y'all remember the whole instant transmission realm thing? I think Todo basically kind of sort of has that now, or at least that's how Gege is choosing to portray it in the manga. This liminal space where there's a bunch of swaps happening at the same time. This happens twice, and I think it's legit just because Gege cannot show them swapping 50 times without, like, burning a whole bunch of panel space. I'm very interested to see how the anime adapts this. But yeah, Todo, a massive buff. You can argue that, ironically enough, having hands was just an infinitely inferior version of what Boogie Woogie has turned into, or now as it's known, Boogie Woogie. Because essentially Todo can now swap upwards of 50 times in a second. But notably, since it's not based on the... he doesn't have to do that. He just needs to hit the Vibra Slap once. The oscillations of the wooden bell, or the wooden piece object instrument thing, that's what allows him to slap, and that vibrates upwards of 50 times a second, meaning he can swap upwards of 50 times a second. But also he can control the amount of times he swaps upwards of 50 times a second, meaning he could swap you once, or he could swap you 50 or 25 or 37 or 22, anything. He can swap you any amount, and that, I think, should be pretty obvious, is insanely broken. Honestly, this level of facilitation could have been really, really useful earlier. Well, why? Can you imagine Sukuna being disoriented and just randomly ending up with the Executioner's Sword in his chest? Can you imagine if Todo was there when Sukuna threw out that net of dismantles and just swapped Kashimo's place with Sukuna, without Kashimo's consent, obviously, and just let Sukuna get sliced to ribbons? Obviously, they don't want to do it. They want to save Manga. But still, like, they were so, like, Todo, you could have been so useful earlier, but where were you? I thought there were going to be some special conditions, but no, this Boogie Woogie is just better. Like, I legit think, outside of the fact that Todo cannot, like, he's not going to punch you with the Vibra Slap. While I assume this Vibra Slap is, in fact, reinforced with Todo's cursed energy, it's super duper unlikely that it is anywhere near as durable as his remaining good hand, his feet, the rest of his body. You can't train a Vibra Slap. You may be able to make it out of, like, vibranium or something, but we're not in the Marvel Universe. So the Vibra Slap itself is more vulnerable, but, like, in terms of what Todo's good for, which admittedly sometimes is AP, it's a little bit of AP. It's, you know, he does draw blood from Sukuna, but hey, Soken Kusakabe, so it's kind of whatever. But with that being the case, for what he's good at, facilitation, and the variety of facilitation, upwards of 50 times in a second, meaning that, let's do some quick maths, 60 times 50, I think that's like 3,000, or, whoa, no, not that, 60 times 50, yeah, 3,000, look at your boy doing mental math, yeah, but that's 3,000, in a minute, Todo could swap places of things 3,000 times, and notably, he can do multiple targets at once now. Because note, the chapter mentions early on that Todo can now... Wait, let's see. Having replaced his left arm, Todo Aoi claimed the activation technique, the inclusion between the wooden box and the metal teeth of the Vibra Slap. The thing that the chapter says is that he uses it 3 times. Where is it? Where is it? I know where... Gosh, I know it says that. 3 times. Well, you know, even Gege mentions it in his little author's note. But essentially, Todo used it 3 times that day. Meaning, that multi-swap he did with the crows and everyone in Malevolent Shrine, that was a one-hit thing that he did with the Vibra Slap still covered, but it was a one-hit thing. So, yeah. He could multi-swap people upwards of 50 times in a second, 3,000 times in a minute. As much as I love that Todo was held off for this so we could get a proper jumping of Yuji and Sukuna on a 1v1, Todo could have been infinitely useful for literally even if he didn't even fight. Like, if he just stood there, Todo just Vibra slapping everybody. The thing is, people could probably get confused. I can understand that. Yuji and Todo have really good innate synergy, so that's probably why Todo waited this long to get active, but he could have been so good for saving people, pulling people out of the cut. He could have gone crazy. But still, regardless, the other big thing is that Yuji finally locks back in. He's been sort of taken out of the flow, out of the zone state, considering, you know, he literally just ate a Malevolent Shrine and is currently missing an entire eyeball. But with that being the case, thanks to being reunited with Todo, thanks to re-understanding and re-acclimating to Boogie Woogie, thanks to immediately understanding this new variation of it, Yuji is locked back in. And this leads Sukuna to a false sense of confidence, to the idea that, oh, okay, I know exactly what he's going in for. He's going in for a feint. Because ultimately, every single time a big black flash landed on somebody, it was with a feint. Sukuna was there the entire time whenever he was working with Todo. And Todo knows the best time to swap Yuji, or to not swap, is when those feints exist. or when the opportunity to swap exists, but it would be better if they didn't swap, which, such is the case with Hanami, such is the case with Mahito. So Sukuna assumes that Okidoke is going to go for, once again, because why wouldn't you? It's the best thing you can do, right? So they immediately go to swing. I was honestly really hoping for like a Black Flash clash. I really still hope we get that before the series ends. Or we get to see two people punch at the same time, and then we get a massive spark of black. That could be cool. I was really hoping we get that here. But instead, a crow swaps in out of nowhere, pops into existence. And we see that Sukuna assumes that, okay, you swap the crow in, so you can swap places with the crow, and then catch me off my blind spot. Sukuna goes in and swings. He fell for the feint. He destroys the crow, absolutely. I don't know where Meme keeps getting all these crows from, but money. So she actually baits Sukuna with Todo, and Todo baits Sukuna to attack the crow. He does destroy the crow, but Yuji and him don't switch. Nobody switched. He didn't swap them. So Sukuna, who does show earlier on in the chapter, he still has the capability to dodge in midair. Like, he 100% does have the capability to move, bob, and weave in midair. Like, he straight air leaps over Toto's kick, and Todo admits himself, where is it? I know it's here. Don't hide from me. Where are you? I swear I can't find things in this chapter when I need to. But right here, he still has the capacity to air leap, but since he kicked, I'm assuming maybe if he had punched, he'd be able to dodge this easier, but since he had kicked, he'd already thrown himself into the air. He had knocked himself off balance. Even with his extreme speed and his understanding of the world like the Heavenly Restriction users have, he could not air hop to dodge this. Meaning Yuji gets to land a meaty Black Flash on Sukuna. However, Yuji goes for a two-piece. He punches for the Black Flash, but instead of hitting Sukuna hard enough to recoil him or knock him back, like we see him do earlier on in this chapter with a missile kick, he instead grabs into Sukuna's chest and starts ripping, screaming as he tears into Sukuna's internal organs. Like, he goes nuts here. Buku bonkers to absolutely tear Sukuna apart. He straight up holds his arm, too. He's like, I'm going to take you through this nice and gently, and just starts tearing in. And then we see that Sukuna's like, yeah, what do you think you are? You ain't like me for real, for real. Domain expansion. And this is interesting. So this is weird. I'm gonna see once the official translations come out. This is obviously the big thing. Sukuna's incredible efficiency meant that despite his cursed energy levels dropping to that of a Kotsu Yuta, which is crazy to think. Remember, he just dropped a whole haphazard domain expansion, was burning a whole bunch of his technique, has been healing on and off here and there, but still, he's still apparently at Yuta levels. When he fought Yuta like we're on 260? He fought Yuta 9 chapters ago. He's still at Yuta levels of cursed energy. Mr. Boundless Cursed Energy. No, what? But still, he can activate domain expansion as much as he needs. He just needs to wait for the organic cooldown time, which is still a big limitation, but still not too bad. Even the 99-second domain expansion, if Toto's caught in it, they're cooked, right? Right? So that could be big and bad. However, we don't get to see who really says domain expansion, because a certain image appears. Allow me to put on the narrator voice. What then befell Sukuna was a vision of a man he had buried with his own hands, the departed spirit of the strongest. There's no mistaking those eyes. Well, to be fair, there's only one eye. Oh, wait! Is that another eye? I can't tell. That doesn't look like another eye. That looks like me seeing things. So yeah, Gojo's back! Right? I think he's tweaking. I'll be honest, I'd be fine. I'll talk more in depth. I'll give this its own video, naturally. But I'm fine with Gojo coming back. I kind of don't want him to, because I think Itadori and Choso, not Itadori and Choso, Itadori and Todo are cooking right now, and I'd rather they just stay cooking. And I do legit think this is a continuation of the trend. Sukuna's on the verge of death, y'all. He's dying. Like, he's a freak of nature, so thusly he loves it. He loves the pain and agony and all that's coming with it. But no, he's literally on the verge of perishing. He could drop at any second now. And thusly, just like when Nobara was about to drop, just like when Nanami was about to drop, he saw the person that ultimately connected with him the best, Gojo Satoru. He's getting a vision, as the chapter clearly says, a vision of the man who he had buried with his own hands. Now, of course, there's speculation. A lot of people are saying this could possibly be Yuji's domain expansion. People are saying this could be Gojo's, this could be Sukuna's. The most interesting order, in that order, I do like the idea that this could be not... I gotta bring in Kingdom Hearts. not Clayton, but not Gojo. As in, this is like just his body moving, sort of like the whims of fate are sensing that Sukuna could be like, hey, he may start the merger, and the world itself seems against the concept of the merger. So this could be something to Gojo resurrected to specifically stop Sukuna at all costs, and that means just using the Limitless and the Six Eyes to his utmost ability. This league, Gojo's casting domain expansion, regardless of Todo and Yuji being there, simply because he's like, I don't care. I need to stop Sukuna, or it needs to stop Sukuna. That's why he doesn't care about Gojo's students, because it's not actually Gojo. So that could be it for the domain expansion. 2, could just be Sukuna's. I'm fine with that. Once again, he may not be able to activate it. He may be able to. I'm fine with either. I'd be interested to see how Yuji deals with that, if they don't just swap out of it and wait for the 99 seconds to be up. Toto's still there. The question is, how quickly would it activate? And how fast could Todo hit the Vibra Slap to get them out of there, if the Vibra Slap vibrations aren't still currently going on? And 3, Yuji. I mean, I'd be fine with Yuji getting a domain expansion, especially here and now. It would be cool to have him finally have a 1v1 with Sukuna, like full proper 1v1 in his own little barrier. Not like, I mean, possibly boxing. Like, mink. But that could be interesting. But ultimately, obviously, the big thing that everyone's worried about, even more than the domain expansion, is the possible return of Satoru Gojo. I think everyone's gotten too happy way too quickly. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm glad people are happy, but this is Gege Tamiyo. Outside of allowing the merger to happen and having someone strong enough to fight it, why would they bring Gojo back? Especially when we do have parallels of people seeing those who are most important to them on their deathbed. Don't get me wrong, this does fit into the idea. A lot of people have pointed out the foreshadowing of Gojo sacrificing an eye to come back, and this image does show a one-eyed Gojo, even in spite of the editor saying, like, there's no mistaking those eyes, as in eyes plural. There's only one eye shown here. But I'll admit, I'm more fine with it just being a vision. If it is the real Gojo, neat. I'd like to see a weakened Gojo fight alongside Todo and Yuji, because those are 2 of the students, along with Yuta Kotsu, who he said would ultimately lead the next generation. So I'd be fine with them coming back and doing that. Though I do kind of like the idea of Yuji being the one to strike Sukuna down. Yuji being the one to bring this out of Sukuna. Yuji being the one to make Sukuna realize, as his heart is literally being torn out and as he's willing to risk it all for another domain expansion, that the verge of death is here. He's going to fall, whether he wants to or not. That's kind of what I want this to be. I just prefer it to be a vision, and Sukuna tweaking out in a very similar vein to how Muzan occasionally tweaks out whenever he sees even something that remotely reminds him of Yoriichi. But, hey, regardless, you know what it is. A W chapter. But I'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave spread it. Because Yuji's literally spreading Sukuna's organs inside with his claws. Leave spread it. Spread it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have to have a Patreon below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. You get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter, and free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have the link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below where you can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video. If you're feeling extra generous, anything else, and I'll probably do a tap and jig. But regardless, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dag of the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members. O'Connor Plays, Greyhound, At Kids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, Red Wolf, 4765, King Sukuna, NMA, Real Rare, Paris Arnold, and G Prosper. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 members, Super Gamer Q, Steron, Sean, Sammy, Oexian, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha and Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 patrons, Joaquin Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.